We're at the DC Comics booth at San Diego Comic-Con talking to Rob Venditti, who is the writer of Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. I have to ask, who's Hal Jordan to you?
Who's Hal Jordan to me? You know, I think one of the great things about the Green Lantern mythology and what we're doing in this book, you know, we've got four of the real classic Green Lantern characters. We've got Hal, we've got John, we've got Guy, we've got Kyle. I think it's easy for people from the outside maybe to say, oh, they're all Green Lanterns, they all wear rings, they're all basically the same. But what they all get chosen for, obviously they have that commonality in that they're selected for their indomitable will. But the way those four characters apply that will to being a hero is vastly different. And so to me, Hal is the guy who is impulsive and trusts his gut and just has no fear. You know, he's always going to be a hero. He's never going to leave a man behind. He's always going to put himself in harm's way to protect everyone else around him, sometimes even recklessly so, but always born out of a need and a want to safeguard everyone around him, you know. John is somebody to me who's highly intelligent, and he almost channels his will into this restraint where he can wait until all the pieces are in the places that he wants them to be. And when you think about the Green Lantern Corps, it's 7,200 Green Lanterns, but they're all individual aliens from different worlds that have their own unique abilities. So much like a military would have, you know, a demolitions expert and a sniper and, you know, a scout or whatever have you, John sees all these lanterns for their unique abilities and is able to apply them in ways from a chessboard perspective and then strike, you know, and that's what separates him. Guy is somebody who's almost tragic in his own way because he has a very long, accomplished career as a Lantern, but he almost feels like he doesn't measure up, like he still has something to prove. But the person he's got to prove it to is himself, you know? And there's Kyle as well, who we don't talk about as much because what we're doing with him is very secretive. So while they all are great Lanterns and great heroes, the way they come at it and apply their power sets and their willpower, to me, is what separates them as characters.
So the thing that strikes me about it is that, you know, with the original Rebirth, when it was just Flash and Green Lantern, was it 20 years ago, something like that? You know, they were kind of the two relaunches, pushes, and then they, in many ways, defined the DC universe. I mean, Flash directly redefined the DC universe. With Green Lantern and this version of Rebirth, I mean, do you see there as parallels? You know, 20 years later, a very similar kind of mission in a way.
I would say it's a bit different. You know, with the original Rebirth, it was bringing Hal back and putting a lot of pieces back on the board that were gone. You know, when Jeff came in, it wasn't just, I think people associate that Rebirth storyline with Hal specifically, but, you know, he brought back the Corps and he brought back, you know, Sinestro, you know, he brought back the Guardians, like all these things that were key elements of the mythology that went back to the creation were gone, and he returned all those things. That's not what we're doing here. You know, we've had the Sinestro Corps, all those pieces that Jeff built up are still in place. But really what this Rebirth is about, to me, is embracing the very long histories and legacies of all these characters and then also using them to make new stories. And so I feel like that's what we're doing with the Rebirth one-shot and with our first few arcs. You know, I'm already 12 issues in terms of script. We've already got 6 issues drawn. So I already know what the first 3 storylines are. I already know what John's story is and what Guy's story is and what Hal's story is. And so it's very much about taking all those great pieces and applying them in new ways to push the stories forward, but to stay with those core concepts, you know, will versus fear, green versus yellow, police officers in space, that are all things as readers, you know, we can easily grasp onto and relate to.
So there's a cycle that kind of strikes me about the Green Lantern universe. So you know, just before the original Rebirth, you had Kyle on his own. There wasn't really much of a core. You didn't have all the various cores that were out there. Hal Jordan comes in, things expand and blow up, and, you know, there's a lot of focus on the different types of rings. And then post John's, there was a retraction in many ways. You know, the OO was destroyed, the core is gone and lost, and it was Hal Jordan kind of on his own doing this nomadish type thing. And then with, you know, the 2 issues that I've read, it seems like it's expanding again. I mean, do you see that like cyclical thing? And it almost feels poetic considering it's in space and universe retraction, expanding. Yeah,
maybe so. I could definitely see that. To me, you know, it's just about I think one of the great assets and one of the things I'm really enjoying about being on this book specifically is having all the pieces in one place. You know, I've certainly had opportunities to write Kyle or to write John, you know, in individual issues or scenes here and there, and a little bit of Guy as well. But now we've got a book where those 4 lanterns are all in one spot, and so to be able to have all the toys in the toy box along with the rest of the core. And if you've read the Rebirth issue, you know, Ganthad and Sade and Carol and, you know, Larfleeze and, you know, Sinestro and all these things all in one pot. To me, it's a great opportunity to really focus on them all. I know it sounds kind of sort of counterintuitive, like it's going to be overcrowded, but to me it's a great opportunity to really highlight what makes them all unique in a way you wouldn't really be able to do if it was just a book about one of them, because they wouldn't have the others to play off of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, you've brought up John and Guy, and last we saw them, they were lost in space and time. So obviously they're coming back. I mean, it was kind of hinted at the end. We know Simon made it through clearly from the past. Are there other lanterns you can tell us about that we might see?
Wow. I don't want to tell you specifically, but one of the things that I'm really enjoying about writing the series, and kind of like what I was talking about with John earlier, is they are all Green Lanterns, but they all come from different worlds and they all have different histories and power sets. And so with John specifically, being able to apply these individual lanterns in unique scenarios where what makes them unique is what he needs at that moment to win the day. We are definitely bringing in some surprises. You know, I would say look to issue 9, where you're going to have somebody that we haven't seen in a really long time that's going to play an important role. Tomar 2, I'll tell you, is somebody that we're going to focus on a bit, and we're going to continue to do that, whether it's Kilowog or Salak or, you know, Goran Son or whoever it is. You know, we're going to have definitely feature individual lanterns from the alien aspect of the core, in addition to you know, the 4 core human lanterns.
When I think of Green Lanterns, not just the space aspect of and the sci-fi aspect, they're cops. In the end, they're just space cops. The previous arc with Jordan kind of doing his nomadic thing was really about the distrust of the populace, of the police, and their job of being police. And obviously it resonates with what's going on today. You know, is that something you're going to continue at all, or is there going to be kind of ramifications going on? I know a lot of it was Jordan trying to, you know, restore the honor of the Corps.
Yeah, we are very much pushing things forward, but, you know, there's a flip side to that too. Like, there can be a distrust of police, but police can also be very inspiring, and they can instill hope, right? They can instill an ability to overcome fear. So we're definitely going to be doing that as well. I mean, I have, you know, very close friends who are police officers, and so you know, to me, it's one of the great, really relatable aspects of the Green Lantern mythology. They're in space, and there's all these aliens and all these worlds and all these things, but they're police officers, and everybody can relate to that on some level. So it's one of the things I definitely want to embrace with the series.
And the final question is, for you as a writer, you have all these tools in the shed, so many characters to play with. You know, what's the most exciting thing about it for you?
Having all the tools, you know what I mean, and being able to work with Ethan Van Sciver, who co-created a vast amount of this stuff.
My artist for the character.
Yeah, or Rafa Sandoval, who I think is really going to surprise people with the quality of the work that he's doing and the way he's able to do this epic scale and this grand scope, you know, the cosmic nature of these stories. To be able to work with them and to have them draw all this amazing stuff. It's almost like, as a writer, I'm also a fan. Like, who do I want to see them draw today? You know, and I'll find out a way to write that. You know, so it really is. I feel incredibly fortunate to be in the position I'm in. I'm working on the book I want to be on with the team I want to be with, and so you know, I just feel very lucky.
And thank you for chatting with us. Much appreciated.